Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, and proudly brought to you by Lay of the Land. And we bring you those top stories making headlines here in Israel every Monday to Thursday. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at those major stories. And we begin with a story we've been covering over the last week, which is the rising tension between Israel and Russia over the Jewish Agency. So just to recap, last week, the Russian Justice Ministry took the decision to issue a ruling that the Jewish Agency must cease operations effective immediately. The Jewish Agency is the largest non-governmental organization in Israel and across the world, and is largely responsible for helping Jews, wherever they are in the world, facilitate their aliyah or immigration to Israel. Now, we haven't had word whether or not our delegation has been allowed to enter Russia yet. Yesterday, the latest update was that entry visas had not been issued yet. But we have had statements from a spokesperson from the Kremlin who said that, and perhaps this is an effort to diffuse the ongoing tension between the two countries. He said that this is a legal issue, it's not a political issue, and should not be politicized at all. However, Russia's foreign ministry issued their statement earlier today where they accused Israel of having a bias towards Ukraine, but also reiterated that the issues with the Jewish Agency are legal and not political. Now, yesterday, the Jerusalem Post, in an exclusive, said that other Jewish organizations had complained that they were also under surveillance. However, they did not name exactly which these organizations are. And in another op-ed earlier today to the Jerusalem Post, Jewish agency workers said that they suspected their phones had been tapped, but also said that there had been an increase in the amount of Russian Jews looking to make aliyah at a rate of about 1,000 applications per day. Now, we have had some commentary from inside Israel. Natan Sharansky, who was the former head of the Jewish Agency and also probably the world's most famous refusenik when he was a prisoner of conscience, said that he is proud of Israel for taking a firm stance and that the only freedoms that haven't been allowed in Russia is the freedom to immigrate. Meanwhile, our president, Isaac Herzog, who himself also served as the head of the Jewish Agency, said that this is an issue that's best not discussed publicly. He said that it is very delicate and should be handled much more quietly. And of course, we will keep you updated around developments as they proceed. And on the subject of Ukraine, Israel's foreign ministry announced earlier today that Israel will be expanding its aid to the war-torn country. The agency has allocated, or the ministry rather, has allocated 2.5 million shekels that will be allocated to 9 civil society organizations. Now, this is not related to the ongoing tension with Russia over the Jewish Agency crisis. However, Israel, who has given a lot of aid to Ukraine and has been very critical of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, has been very careful because of the presence of Russia on our border in Syria, helping us or helping to ensure that we are able to carry out missions. Israel has been very careful to only give humanitarian-based aid and not military aid at all. In a very, very rare show of protest, lawyers under the Palestinian Authority held a protest demanding that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas reinstitutes his parliament. So basically what the lawyers are saying is that Abbas is ruling by decree. He is not ruling with a functioning parliament. In fact, the parliament has been dormant since 2007. The need for a parliament, or the expectation to create a parliament, was set up in the Oslo Accords, and what the lawyers are hoping to do is to pressurize Abbas into reforming his parliament. And just to remind these lawyers who we admire for taking such a firm stance, we know what the result of that could be on their own personal safety, that Mahmoud Abbas is in the 17th year of his four-year term, and we don't hold our breath on him having elections or adhering to any kinds of agreements anytime soon. And our final story, as you know, we try our best to end off with something more positive. And it has been reported that the European Rangers Federation, these are nature rangers or rangers that work in nature parks and reserves, have appealed to Israel to lead a training program on how to deal with illegal animal hunting. Now, Israel, although hasn't focused very much on climate change and the environment over the last couple of years, as you know, the priority has largely been defense, is now starting to pivot towards dealing with environment and climate related issues. However, we still have been asked to lead the training, and a first session will take place via Zoom on Sunday, and a delegation will head off to Germany as well to talk to rangers around the continent on World Rangers Day on how to clamp down on illegal animal hunting. So that brings us to the end of today's top stories, but don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. We have an article there about the Dead Sea on the subject of the environment, and you can check us out on Facebook at Lottle's site. Give us a like, give us a follow. Please consider sharing our content. Our YouTube channel is at The Israel Brief. We would really love and appreciate it if you share our content as well as subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button. And our Twitter page could do with a boost. We are at Lay of the Land 5, and all you have to do is follow us. And with that, I'm Rolene Marks. This is The Israel Brief. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with your top stories.